All right, we are reading Fabulous Fishes today, written and illustrated by Susan Stockdale. Now, of course, this is from the genre poetry. I said it was a poem. And before we get started, though, I wanted to talk to you about all the different places that fish can live. Now, they can live in freshwater, places like lakes and rivers and streams and wetlands. We talked about those before. And they can also live in bigger places like seas and oceans. They can live in bays and coral reefs. So there are so many different types of habitats for fish, and there are so many different kinds of fish because, fish that live in a certain habitat are made the way they are to survive in that habitat. So because there's so many habitats, there are so many different kinds of fish. So the essential question that I want you to think about is, where do fish live? And the strategy that we're going to use for comprehension is summarizing. And remember, when you're summarizing, that helps you keep track of what you've read and it focuses your mind on the key details. And if you have any gaps in what you remember, you can always go back and read it again to help you understand better. So let's go ahead and read Fabulous Fishes. Round fish, clownfish, fish that like to hide. Striped fish, spiked fish, fish that leap and glide. So we'll stop here and summarize just a little because good readers stop to summarize what they've read to help them remember those key points. And at this point in the poem, we've learned about different kinds of fish. Now, what are the ways that the poet describes how the fish looked? They're round, they're striped, they're spiked, right? There's a lot of different ways that they're described. So let's go ahead and turn the page. Now, this poem has more than one page, which is also different than what we're used to. Sandfish, landfish, fish that flash their lights. Speckled fish, spotted fish, fish with tails curled tight. All right, this is an interesting poem just because there are more than one page. Let's go ahead and turn it again because there's yet more pages in this poem. Shiny fish, spiny fish, fish that hitch a ride. Flatfish, catfish, fish that ride the tide. Fish that swim in numbers, fish that swim alone. No matter what they look like, they call the water home. All right, so as we get to the end of the poem, we can summarize the descriptions of fish. The poet gives names of some fish, and he describes the shapes and the colors of some fish. And so what else does he tell about the fish? Maybe how they move and where they live. There's a lot of different descriptions of all these different kinds of fish, right? All right, before I let you go, there's only one vocabulary that I need you to look at, and actually there's two words, in numbers, but it goes together, in numbers. Fish that swim in numbers.
In numbers, to be grouped together, as in a school of fish or a flock of birds. Geese fly south in numbers.
All right, so in numbers means to be grouped together, like a school of fish, like that school of fish that you see right there, or like birds, like you see birds flying in the sky when they're all flying together. That means they're doing it as a group. All right, so that's all I have for you for your reading today. That was kind of a fun poem, wasn't it? And I'll be with you in just a minute, and we'll talk more about verbs and different verb endings.